Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Reverse Sweep. Stage 4 qualifiers is over, and we are officially at the final episode before Major 4. I am joined by my co-host, Chris, aka Parasite.
Good, everybody. How we doing?
And Pat, aka Slaya, aka XDefiant Superman. What's up, man?
Yes, sir. Hope everybody who is watching this has got a chance to play XDefiant. Maybe James. Maybe what I'll do is when this is out, I'll drop a code in the comments.
Oh, that'd be sick.
So people can get some access if they haven't got it.
There we go. A little reverse sweep code.
Yeah, but special one.
As you guys know, big shout out to the audio listeners as well. We got a lot of good feedback. A lot of you guys even went and commented on the YouTube video, like, "Hey, I'm an audio listener. I listen to it in the car on the way home." So. As per usual, we're going to be doing a bracket episode this time around. It's kind of what we do before these majors. We build out our perfect reverse sweep bracket. And we'll talk about each teams and some of the matches from this weekend throughout as we get to each matchup. And then we're going to talk about a couple extra things at the end after we finish up the bracket. So don't leave when the bracket's over. And just a reminder, make sure you guys subscribe. I think we're like 300 subs off of our next giveaway. And I think over 50% of people watching are still not subscribed. So make sure you hit the sub button. Takes 2 seconds, and we'll have another giveaway coming up. Alrighty, gentlemen. I guess we just start from the top. OpTic versus Breach. I guess before we kind of give the inevitable answer to this, what's going on with Boston right now? Because obviously Kremp came in and he actually looked pretty good, but it seems like the rest of the team is now struggling a little bit. So what's up with Boston and what's going to happen with this OpTic versus Boston matchup?
I'll take this one, Chris. I'll give a short answer and you can elaborate. The answer I have, James, is they don't have Doug, Sensor, Martin.
Bro, you got to give up this gimmick, dude.
And the reason I say that is because I just think they're missing that piece of like, they need to have some life to them. Like, I need someone on this team that's getting hype and you know, building this team up. I think they have talent. I don't think talent's their issue. I just feel like they're missing a little bit of like, I want to say leadership, but in a different tone. It's more of just like some camaraderie between the guys. Yeah. And I feel like that's what someone like Doug would bring. And I feel like, yeah, it may be like a jokingly saying Doug, but it's like, I feel like he could come into this team and like just turn the attitude around. Like that's kind of what I'm looking for here is this team needs to turn their attitude around.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know if that's Doug is the solution to that problem. Boston Academy with Beans and Kremp and Doug, I think had like one pretty good placement, if I remember correctly. I don't think they placed particularly well at LAN.
That was early game, though. We're in the mid game.
Listen, I don't think
Doug is in game now.
I don't think Doug is the solution here, but I do agree. I think these guys are missing something. I think even if they had Reese or Vivid on the team, they might not have continued that form that they were looking in going into or at the last major. But I don't know what it is, because I think Beans or Kremp has been really good. I think he's been statistically probably better than Vivid on the team. But as you know, like, stats don't mean everything, and I don't know. I think this team just has inconsistency issues. It's whether if Awakening's playing good, Beans is playing bad. If Beans is playing bad, or Beans is playing good, sorry, Awakening's playing bad. And then, you know, Nero already has consistency issues, but I think he's gotten a lot better, at least as an individual. But I don't know. They need something, bro. They're missing something, and I don't really know what that is. That being said, I think we knew unanimously have OpTic being the breach here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't even think this is going to be close. I think we're going to see kind of a what OpTic did to them on the Sunday of last major. I think, you know, yes, Boston came out and 3-0'd them that first time, but I don't think OpTic was woken up, and I don't see that happening. So yeah, it's gonna be quick and easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just scary, bro. For the first match of every tournament is one of those things that, like, some teams they rise to that occasion and other teams they don't, just because some teams need to get warmed up, or they need to get into that mindset. And with OpTic not being at their home major and being more in a just casual crowd, then I don't think they're going to lose. But is there a possibility that they start out flat? Maybe. I mean, that's just the reality with every team. But with the form that OpTic's been in, man, it's hard to root against them this tournament.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure we'll kind of give them their flowers throughout this bracket. But they did officially have the first undefeated qualifier stage. So it's a little hard not to have them as the front runners. But we will move on to the second matchup for the first time in CDL history. The Vegas Legion are in the winners bracket, and they're facing up against NYSL.
Thank God.
Yeah, I think they have a pretty good draw here in terms of who they can be playing against. I don't think them playing against FaZe or Surge would have been ideal, or Thieves. I think New York, if you're going to be a team in the winners bracket right now, obviously there's the ROKKR if you want to play them, but they're in the same sort of like spectrum in terms of where they would match up. I think they drew the best possible first match for them, because I think New York on LAN has struggled recently. They've had good qualifiers. I think they've been in winners bracket pretty much every single stage, but then they go to LAN and, they lose to teams like Florida. So I think this is probably the best case scenario. That being said, I don't know if they're going to beat New York. I think New York has been playing really good this stage. I think you're getting contribution out of your most important players. You're always getting something out of Hydra. You're always getting something out of Kismet. And then Skies has massively stepped up and been playing really, really well this qualifier. And I think in their last match against Boston, Hydra particularly didn't have the best map one, and they were still able to win it when he wasn't absolutely going berserk. So I feel like there's been good signs for this team. The only person on the team that worries me, though, Pat, I think you might agree with me here, is Priesta. I think Priesta had a really bad stage statistically, even though they've been able to come out on top of the losers bracket. Or our winners bracket, sorry.
I agree with you on Preston. I honestly, I don't know if this is going to be a little Columbus magic, but I think Vegas is going to win this one. I think they're going to come out. Look, they just went 4-1. They are riding this high. They just got their first winner bracket ever. Standy is playing on an insane level. His last 2 or 3 series, like an absurd level. Literally winning series, not winning series by himself, but like if you looked at a scorecard, like those are like the stat lines we talk about, like with Pred, like where Pred's just doing like his thing. And I think they're going to carry this momentum here. I think I agree with Chris. I think the subliners is a pretty good draw for them. I don't know how they'll get it done in this series, but I feel like they're gonna upset and shock a little people round one.
What teams did Vegas beat this split? I think they beat Ultra, obviously. They beat Boston.
Ones, I thought.
They beat Boston. They beat Florida. Did they play and they beat ROKKR? I think they beat 3 struggling teams. Although, listen, I'm a big fan of Vegas. I think they did great by picking up Standy. I think their only one outstanding win this entire split was against Toronto, who obviously went on to struggle or was struggling the entire qualifier. And then they beat Boston when they first got Kremp, I think. I could be wrong. I don't think they beat them with Vivid,
Florida,
did they? London, right? Did they beat London too? No,
they beat Florida. They beat Ultra. They beat LAG. They lost to London, and then they beat Boston.
Yeah, so I mean, they have really one actual marquee win. Listen, I'm a Vegas believer, but
I would say Boston and Ultra are good wins. I
think Boston is a good win, but I think that was their first. Was that their first match with Kremp, or did they play them with Vivid? I think it was their first match with Kremp. Listen, don't quote me. But regardless, just looking at it from an objective standpoint, I think they've had one actual marquee win. And then the rest of them have been pretty easy. That being said, I still got New York winning this. I do believe that Thieves or Legion can push this. Like I said, this is the best draw possible. If there's one match out of this bracket that I think is going to be an upset, because I don't see Surge or FaZe being an upset, whichever team wins. That is just a fucked match. There's always one fucked up match in the winners bracket at every major because of the strength of schedule shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if there's going to be one actual upset, it's going to be this one. But I still got New York. So I think we're both tied here. I think, James, it's going to come down to you. Does Legion take it or do the subliners take it?
I'm going to be honest. I think throughout the rest of this year, if there's a dark horse team that like I'd love to see make a little run, it's going to be Vegas. Just for the pride. So I'm going to go with Vegas on this one. I'm going to say Vegas is going to go to
I'm not mad about it.
Bracket, and then New York is going to drop down to play Florida in losers round 1.
I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it, James.
We will go on now to LA Thieves versus the Minnesota ROKKR.
James, honestly, I'm not even gonna.
They just played each other in the qualifier, bro.
I'm not even gonna entertain you here, James. When I'm here in Columbus, as soon as these guys sit down, I'm ordering DoorDash, and my DoorDash won't even be here in time because this match is gonna be over so fast. This is
a speed run, bro.
This is gonna be a smoke show. Not even gonna be close. The ROKKR are looking horrible all across the board, and the Thieves are looking, I'd say, very good.
Contender.
Yeah, I have Thieves as a contender this event. They've been firing on all cylinders. King's playing great. Octane's playing insane. Envoy and Draza still doing their thing, and I don't know who on the ROKKR to even pull for. I've been not upset. I've been let down by basically this entire roster, this coaching staff, this franchise with their moves. I don't think ROKKR has anything going for him at the moment.
What do you do if you're ROKKR going into this? Like, what's the mindset like? Are you like
nothing to lose, bro? Just start going rogue. Like, I mean, they're playing a tough team. They just got absolutely bamboozled in their final qualifier match by the same exact team. At the very least, the only thing they can say is they have film. So they better be sitting in there watching Thieves' every move, seeing where they went wrong in the vetoes, if there's any way they can, make some other plays. Thieves is going to come into this match absolutely delusional. Like, they just fried them. I think Octane had a 1.5 in that match. They haven't lost a single map to ROKKR the entirety of the CDL that they played them. They played them 4 times this season, and they haven't lost a map. Like, this is an absolute delusional matchup. That being said, Thieves look really good. They're slaying. They are playing well online, and that is a scary sight for the rest of the league because we know that on land these guys get a little bit of a buff. But
I'm just curious. I feel like, Chris, you might have heard this if there is rumors of it at all. Do people ever talk about like how's ROKKR's scrims going? Like, are they awful in scrims too, or like what?
I haven't heard shit. I don't really pay attention or ask around, but according to everybody in the league, they always do well in scrims. So there's no one ever getting shit on scrims.
Yeah, everyone's frying.
I think the only team that's ever said our scrims have not been going well is Vegas. I think those guys are probably the most transparent team in the league when it comes to like anything.
That's good to hear. Go Vegas.
Yes, this is about to be a smoke show, man.
What's not going to be a smoke show is the last remaining, well, it could be, but the last remaining matchup for winners round 1. We have Seattle Surge versus Atlanta FaZe. Kind of like, I think I've heard a few people talk about it. It's like one of the best matchups I think we have in the CDL throughout the season.
Hear me out. Did FaZe know that they were going to be playing Seattle pretty much? Like if they looked at the results, the standings, and all the teams that have been playing, did FaZe kind of already know that they were going to play Seattle first round?
Stuff was decided today, and they are.
Well, most of it was decided today, but I think the one match that was probably decided already, essentially, unless FaZe won or something like that, was probably the Seattle match.
I don't know.
I want to say they probably knew because we were talking about how they were experimenting with their map pool. They played Seattle. I need to go. I would actually be curious if somebody in the comments could tell me if they knew they were basically going to play Seattle, because the only thing that I remember that I know was up in the air today was whether Breach or ROKKR was going to play OpTic, based on their match and that the way that went. But I think the Seattle FaZe, they knew they were playing each other regardless. And I think FaZe probably went into that qualifier match experimenting with their map pool because they were like, okay, we know this is like a tough series for us all the time. Let's see if we can throw some maps at them and see if, maybe they're not that good at them. And the experiment utterly failed in their qualifier match. But that would actually be interesting. And if so, and if that's kind of high IQ, regardless if they win or lose, if they knew that, I'm curious. What do you think about this matchup though, Pat?
Listen, I'm gonna play the numbers here. I think does Seattle have a chance to upset? Absolutely, but I'm not counting out FaZe in any winner bracket match ever at a major. I just think Slasher's been playing so poor for this team the last few games, but I think when he gets back on land, he'll be in his element. Also, and this is kind of like a small thing I don't think we've really touched on, but like. You know how people kind of have like the FaZe, not gets nervous thing, but like FaZe has been getting booed a lot at events recently because they obviously, that's just what happens when you're the best team. Like you get booed a lot. There's not going to be a crowd at this Columbus event. This is going to be very like chill, come in, play your game. And I actually think that's going to help FaZe. And also, I think Slasher will rebound when he's back on land. I'm not too concerned about that. And I think, yeah, Seattle's turned it around. I think it's just going to be a good match. I think it's going to be a heavyweight kind of bout. But I think FaZe is gonna come out with the win in this one.
Listen, as much as I've rooted for FaZe in the past, the stats and the way they've been playing just don't lie. This team has regressed. They are still not really doing too well in hardpoint. Their S&D, they've started to lose. I think this can go either way, but I think Seattle's finally going to do it, and they're going to pull out a gritty W against FaZe. So either way, I think most of us probably agree this is a 50-50 matchup. It's hell in a cell. So here goes, James. See what you got. See what you got for us.
I'm quite literally going to flip a coin. All right. Pat, I'll let you pick. FaZe, heads or tails?
Heads.
All right, so that means tails is Surge.
It's heads. Just early, never wrong.
It's tails.
God damn it.
There you have it.
Nah, that's a loaded coin.
A loaded coin.
All right, so and just like that, FaZe drops down to the losers bracket to play.
Holy shit.
Unbelievable.
I wonder how many majors in the history of the CDL FaZe has lost a first round in.
I bet
probably zero.
I bet if we flipped the coin
zero.
for every bracket, like every matchup, it would probably be closer than like really trying. I don't know. Just with how the last couple brackets
maybe after winners bracket 1.
Yeah,
or maybe after first round.
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
After first round, I think we could probably flip coins and be
so
close.
The way this bracket's going to shape up, like let's look at the bottom, like where FaZe just fell into the losers bracket. We can start with these loser bracket matches, but like, dude, they're going up against Guerrillas, Ravens, and ROKKR. That's 9 through 12 right now. Like these guys who are struggling for a chance for champs, they need to get points. They're desperate for any points. And FaZe or Seattle are going to drop down in loser bracket and just wreck their world.
Oh
yeah, that's not good. This is not a good look.
This is. I think this event. I was saying this earlier. I think this event is really gonna kind of just go ahead and define our top 8 and like basically our champs qualification is just going to be done.
It's almost like a mini champs if teams get knocked out right away. It's kind of just like, okay, well, now it's 8 teams. Alrighty, so we'll go to the top of losers round 1, Boston Breach versus Toronto Ultra. A Toronto Ultra that just came off a major but then proceeded to struggle their life away.
I don't see a world where they continue to struggle, bro. They're back on land. I think Scrappy's been sitting there complaining that he fucking hates the game online, rightfully so. There's a lot of cheesy shit that goes on. You got to taste the victory. That could be a championship hangover, but I'm sure the rest of their team has those same sentiments. So they're going to obviously be looking forward to playing on land. They do have probably one of the tougher, well, I wouldn't say one of the tougher ones with FaZe down there right now, but hypothetically, it's a pretty tough match for them to play in loser bracket first round in comparison to some of the other teams. The one thing I will say is previously, Breach has pushed them to map 5 pretty much every time they have played them. Every single time. And Ultra keep running away with it. I don't think this is going to happen here. I think Breach has been regressing. And I think Ultra are going to come out very high-spirited, while Breach is going to be coming off an L here. I think Ultra are going to take this one.
I agree with you. I think Ultra's also due for a bounce back. These guys are just. I'm honestly, I don't know about you, Chris. I'm shocked by their performance in this stage online. But I hate to call out one person, but Hixie has not been playing well, like at all. He went into that last event and was like crying for what he came in for. But he's had a really, 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 really rough online stage.
I think he was like a 0.9, like a solid 0.9 before, but now he's like getting hoop taped.
But he would have like stints of like a plus 30 series. You know what I mean? Like he would have a series where he would fry, and it's like, yeah, he's just getting hoop mixtape right now. I don't know. I'm hoping that back on land they can kind of get back in their element, be at an event, and get back to at least where they not exactly where they were, but like back in that kind of mindset, that energy. And I think they will take the Breach down, because I just don't think Breach have been playing that well either.
Do you think it's like a momentum thing, like a complacency thing, where they like they got their chip, they're like, all right, we got ours. They come back, maybe they're a little complacent their first like 2 matches that they're back, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, shit, we've lost 2 matches, and then a couple don't go their way, some mistakes start exposing themselves. Like I feel like it's hard to like flip the switch that much. Like this has definitely been the biggest top to bottom flip like we've seen.
I mean, potentially, but at the same time, their S&D just does not look good. And also their record does not tell the whole story. I think they're like 10 and 12 map count. Like that is an absurd map count for the actual like placement they, or not placement, but their actual record. So they've been competitive in all their series. They just haven't been able to close any of them, and they're obviously just not doing well in search. But as you know, I think everyone knows the gameplay is completely different on land without the sound EQ, and you got to think in S&D it also has an impact in the way that people play and the risks management that people can take. And it's probably not doing them any favors. I still think this is like complacency cheese to an extent, but I don't think it's going to affect them that drastically where they end up just bowing out at fucking top 12 after first. If that happens, I would be absolutely mind blown. I think they win this series regardless.
Alrighty, so we have Boston Breach exiting the tournament after loses round 1. A little double first round action.
That's tragic, man.
Next up in the losers bracket, we have the New York Subliners versus the Florida Mutineers.
This is a rematch of the match that they had at Boston. And at least for me, I just don't see them losing that again, bro. Like if Subliners lose again in this fashion to this team, bro, they're making a roster change. They got to. There's no way. I've been a fan of the New York team, and they've been able to make winners bracket every single event. They've won a tournament, but that win that they had, it's been carrying them pretty far in terms of like them keeping together the roster and them obviously being rated a high tier team. But if they can't put it together on land, that's now like 3 events that they haven't been able to put together at land, and where they're placing terrible for a team that won a tournament. We've called these guys a top 4 team at one point, and rightfully so, but now it's just like they're falling off. And if they end up having another terrible event like this where they lose to Mutineers or they bow out really fucking early, like top 12, maybe even top 8, like they got to make something. They got to make something happen. They got to change. There's no way they don't. But that being said, no fucking way they lose to this team again with the way they've been looking. They don't even have Colt on their team anymore. And I'm pretty sure Colt like played really good in that series when they played on LAN. I my memory might be fuzzy, but I'm pretty sure he did. And yeah, there's no way they fucking lose this again. No. New York win this.
Yeah. I think this might be another DoorDash challenge.
Okay.
I think New York's going to smoke them. I agree with Chris. I don't see a world that they they lose how they did at the last event. Not possible. If they do, then there's a much bigger issue at hand.
Yeah, something's got to happen, dude. Somebody's getting nuked, bro. Somebody's getting airstriked.
We'll talk about it a little bit later.
Precision airstrike.
But like, would you say that post this event, like, it's pretty much the last roster changes that you should make this year, right? Like, there's no, like, is there any scenario where a team, like, if you're making roster changes after Major 4, there's no way, right? If you're already a top 8 team. So, like, I would think that this is going to be, like, whatever the results are in this tournament, then we might see a couple after, and then that's kind of it for the year.
I'm willing to bet that I think if New York plays terrible, like, they can make a change because they're still in a position where they're still, I'm pretty sure, going to be basically guaranteed champs unless maybe they don't win a series for the rest of the year. But they're also like they were technically a contender team where, like, if they do go out and make changes, I feel like they have some pull and they have some desirability for teams that want to join them. Whether that's an amateur or whether that's another like pro player potentially, I don't really know. What direction they might opt to go in, or whether they try to maybe buy somebody out. Maybe they try to go for someone like Attach or something, or maybe they go for a challenger, or maybe, I don't know. I'm just talking out my ass here, but I think if you're a bottom tier team, you're pretty much fucked. Like, there's no roster changes there anymore. But I think at the higher end, if you're a team that's just playing or not playing to your expectations, I don't see why you wouldn't make a change. It's not like you're guaranteed champs. So pack a punch if you're not placing well.
I just think, Chris, this late in the season, to your point, James, like, there's not enough room for a roster change. Like, you're not going to be able to get the ideal change you want to get, because it's like, even if you want another player on another team, like, what's the incentive that another team is going to have to let them go?
Yeah.
Then you got to deal with buyouts, and it's really complicated. And I think really the only changes we're going to see, I think, are like some of these bottom teams dropping off somebody that either just isn't good enough or isn't performing, and they'll either fill in with someone that's already a sub on their team or dip into challengers. But I don't think any blockbuster moves are going to happen.
I mean, yeah, not blockbuster, but listen, to New York. To New York's point,
when I say blockbuster, I just mean, like, I don't think any teams are going to change to become contenders that aren't contenders, if that makes sense. Like, I think our contenders are kind of already locked. Like,
I agree with you, but New York is just in a very unique position. They won an event and then they've been disappointing ever since, but they've shown that online, at least, they are a very good competitive team where they take some of these good teams.
I just don't think that they could get anyone that would improve them, is what I meant. Like, to push them into like I feel like they have the best team they can get. Like, do you think any challenger players are better than their current roster?
Listen, this is not my argument here. I'm saying the way this team is purely built off teamwork. I think Hydra is their superstar player. Outside of that, they kind of just got a team together of people that are hard workers and teamwork based players. I don't think anyone considered Skies or Kismet a superstar, or Priesta for that matter, for a long, especially Priesta after, like, since back in like the 100 Thieves days. This is a team based off teamwork, and they need somebody that's going to contribute. And I'm not saying Priesta isn't doing that, and that is probably my target, by the way. Here we've talked about Priesta having inconsistency issues, and I feel like when a team with Priesta was at its best, Priesta was performing well. When Priesta is not performing well, these teams just simply don't place well. They just struggle, and I'm not trying to just target him individually. He's just been the person that hasn't been playing the best, and that's kind of been a trend on a couple of his teams. When he's playing well, his team does well. When he's playing terrible, they don't place well. So if he continues to do this, the way he did this stage, and they bow out at a shitty placement again, they're in a very unique position where I think they potentially do look at other options. Whether they actually go through with it, who the fuck knows? But I'm interested to see if any of that would potentially happen.
Okay.
Anyways, next
up, the Minnesota ROKKR versus the London Royal Ravens.
Lord, I am stepping out of the venue for this. This is
the I don't have DoorDash series, so I'm gonna take a lunch break and drive and go get myself some food.
Bro, you hear me out.
I don't know
here.
if I'll be on the couch for this.
This is the icing on the cake for the full ROKKR collapse. Listen, London, they have not been the best, but their last 2 games, I feel like they actually had potential there to potentially either win a series or at least stretch a series out. ROKKR, on the other hand, after their 2 home series cheese wins, what have they even done on the map? Like, this might be the icing on the cake where Ravens, they step up. They have that upset series like they almost did versus OpTic at the next major. They just step up and just like have some gritty ass win, and ROKKR bow out at 12th, and then they just lose composure for the rest of the year. They don't know what to do with their roster anymore because they got attached on the sidelines, and they're just all struggling, and they just basically realize that the decision they made to drop attach, or not necessarily drop attach, but have one of their challenger players fill in this fucking AR role when he was running a sub and finding success, is just a terrible idea. And this is pretty much the end of the ROKKR camp, at least for the rest of the year. I think London wins on some crazy upset shit. And this is the first time I think London will have won a series on land.
At a major, yeah.
At a major this year.
Lord, I don't. Listen, I mean, I could see London winning this, but Lord, if the ROKKR lose this, there needs to be some serious changes.
Yeah,
listen. This is a literal 50-50. James, let's do the coin flip again. Let's just make it completely random, because I'm not even gonna watch this series. This better be the lowest watched match of the weekend, because I'm stepping out. This is the
full collapse, though.
All right. What are we giving? Okay,
I'm calling it this time.
Heads. What do you want to be heads?
Heads is Ravens.
All right.
There's no way it's tails twice.
It's heads. Ravens win.
Jesus.
Let's go, baby. The Ravens win. Wait, hold on. The dynasty has been cemented. The curse has been broken.
I think the curse has been cemented on that whole organization.
Nah, bro. You want what it is? You want what it is about ROKKR this year? I knew that some shit was gonna happen to them when they had that fucking intro, bro. Like, that intro makes me, so I'm talking about their intro. It's like some fucking voodoo shit in the woods with the witch and the face paint and shit. I'm like, bro, what kind of intro is this? Can they intro the players? You don't even like, bro. I can't do it.
It is interesting. I chuckle when I see all of them like dirty on the screen. They just have like mud on their face, like they went through war. Yep. Alrighty. Well, the last series of losers bracket, we have FaZe versus LAG.
What?
FaZe.
Nah.
Done. It's like,
you don't want to flip a coin for this one?
Nah. I'm gonna flip a coin for whether Guerrillas even show up for this match. Listen, Guerrillas are done. They're done and dusted. We saw it today. We've seen it this weekend. We've seen it in all their online stage. I feel bad for these guys, but the reality is this team is just done. It sucks too, because like Major 5's not really going to matter for them. Realistically, I don't think there's any way they make champs no matter what. And we kind of all know the fate of their organization at the end of this year regardless. So,
it's funny. I think Joe Deceives is in my house right now, downstairs.
Sorry, Joe.
Alrighty. Well, that's gonna do it for the losers bracket side of things. LAG gets knocked out. And we'll move back up to the winners. First at the top, we have OpTic Texas versus Las Vegas Legion.
I mean, OpTic? Listen, as much as I believe in the Vegas Cinderella story, I didn't have them making it out of the first round. There's no way they beat OpTic here with the form they've been looking in. Nope. What about you, Pat?
Yeah,
don't fucking do it.
I could hope for this Cinderella run, but yeah, I think I think OpTic's going to take this one.
Thank God, some
I
realistic
think if they made a
expectations.
Cinderella run, it would come from the bottom anyways. I don't think it's going to be a winner's bracket to chance.
Bro, how absurd would it be if Vegas beat OpTic though?
It would
Like,
be,
how absurd of a storyline is this? Oh, one could hope. Listen, I'm rooting for OpTic for sure. Some of those guys are my boys, but at the same time, I gotta be realistic here. There's no way.
Yeah.
No fucking way, dude.
And then on to the next winners round 2 matchup, we have LA Thieves versus Seattle Surge. Probably another really good matchup.
Listen,
It's going to be a good one, yeah.
it's gonna be a good one, but Thieves already shit on Surge this stage.
Am I crazy to think that Thieves kind of just have like the Seattle counter, like the way Thieves play? Like, do you kind of agree with that, Chris? Like, I feel like Thieves their play style as a team, and their not just their play style, but the role of their players, like the way Envoy plays as a sub, the way Sam plays as an AR, it's a little bit different. Like, obviously there's multiple top ARs, top subs, but the way these guys play is a little bit I don't want to say unorthodox. I guess you could say unorthodox for Envoy, but like Sam plays a little bit like slower pace of a AR role, and he's obviously gross. I feel like it kind of it's a good matchup for Thieves because of that play style. I think it's a play style mismatch almost.
I don't know if it's a playstyle mismatch, but I would definitely will say that Thieves just play with a lot of teamwork. I feel like the way Seattle plays isn't like so much like teamwork based. I feel like they're fueled off their individual talent and just letting their players kind of do what they do best. While I feel like Thieves is always just like doing shit together, and I feel like they all have that pop-off potential because of it. I feel like you've seen Sam go nuts, you've seen Kenny go nuts, Envoy's had a series, Draws has even had a series, this split. It's because they're all really good players and they just play around each other, so when one person isn't getting the kill, somebody else is popping the two-piece. Like, it's not always just one person. While I feel like Seattle just has defined superstars, and I think Thieves doesn't have a defined stars. Every single player on their team turns up whenever they need them to, whenever they're all playing really well. So I think Thieves win this. I'm a man of numbers here, and they just smoked them. So
yeah. Is it weird to me that, like, I feel like most of these teams, like when you see OpTic go on that losers bracket run last tournament, people were talking about, like how locked in Huke was and how locked in they were, their shit talking. I feel like LA Thieves, like, their scariest form is like when they're laughing and shit in the cams, and they're just kind of vibing out and they're kind of doing their thing. I don't know how that transitions to maybe hurting them in some scenarios where they're not doing well, but when they are hot and they show their cams and it just looks like they're having the best time in the world, it's kind of a scary sight.
Well, Sam will tell you, they just have a good team culture. Yeah. Like, I feel like a lot of teams don't have that. I feel like these guys actually vibe. They all have a good time playing with each other. Although there might be some extreme cases, I don't think that any of them will sit there and tell you they'd rather play with other people. Yeah. There might be some extreme cases like, oh yeah, of course, like, Simp easy, you know what I mean? But like, in reality, like, do any of these guys want to actually play with anyone else? No, they love playing together as a team. They don't quit on each other. None of their vibes are never chalked. Like, when they struggle, I think they all take accountability. They might not always put up the results, and sure, they have their highs and lows, but I think from a perspective, they are the perfect team, bro. Like, they just, like, if I wanted to like replicate a team's culture, it'd be the Thieves. It's not even close.
Thanks.
But yeah, we both, I think I got Thieves moving forward here.
Yeah.
Yep. Alrighty, and then we will move down. So our winners final will be OpTic versus LA Thieves, and we'll move down to the losers bracket, losers round 3, or actually losers round 2. We have Toronto Ultra versus New York Subliners.
This is gonna be a tough one, dude. This is like this is tough.
This is another flip a coin right now. The thing is, though, just Ultra. It's hard because, like, I know we're doing what we did with New York at the beginning of the season, right? New York won that tournament, and even when they had their struggling moments, we were just like, yeah, we still got faith in New York. Ultra won their tournament, but they got smoked. And we're like, yeah, we still have faith in Ultra. I want to say Ultra here because they won a tournament, but listen, New York also won a tournament. Like I can't let that keep carrying my decisions further. Who did Ultra lose to this split? Well, everyone, but
everybody. Yeah.
Vegas. They lost to Vegas. They lost to Thieves. Did they play Thieves? Like, who did they actually lose to, James? You have it?
I can pull it up on one of these side monitors. Hold up.
I know OpTic lost, or
I can check
Thieves,
that.
not Thieves, but Subliners lost to OpTic, right? I think that was pretty much the only team they lost to.
Toronto lost to...
Yeah, you'll probably get it before
Breach 3-2.
Jesus.
Seattle 3-2. FaZe 3-1. Vegas 3-2. And they beat Florida 3-0. So like, as you know, as much as they went 1-4, like these guys lost 3-2s to some pretty good teams, and then they obviously lost 3-1 to FaZe. But like, how much do you really take away? They probably had the hardest schedule of any team this split.
Yeah, that's true.
And they lost a bunch of game 5s. So it's like, I still think they look
shit.
They look good. They just had an unfortunate major, but it's not like these guys fell off, right? Like, it's not like it's a completely different team. Hixie's been playing terrible, we know that, and they lost some close games. I personally have Toronto in this series. I think, granted, it definitely relies on Hixie kind of getting a little bit back into form. I don't think he can continue to struggle if this team wants to see any success at this event. But I just think they're fundamentally better than the subliners in terms of like game modes. Like, I think they have a deeper map pool, and I think overall they're just better across all 3 modes than New York is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably give it to Ultra just so we have some agreements here. But realistically, this could also be another flip the coin series, to be honest.
Now, if it does, obviously we have it going Ultra. Is that still like roster change territory for New York? Going out right here?
It depends, because if they, dude, honestly,
if they get
stories. They lose to Vegas.
If they get smoked, yes. If it's a super close series, I don't know, man. It sucks, bro. Like, this is just unfortunate. Like, it's an unfortunate bracket. I feel like New York has had quite a few of those. Besides the Boston event, I feel like they've had those unfortunate brackets where the Dallas event. I feel like they've had those unfortunate brackets where they play somebody good early and they get knocked out. Just strength of schedule cheese, man, and New York just keep falling into it. I think this whole tournament just relies on New York not getting upset first round by Legion in terms of their performance. If they get upset, they're in a bad spot. Roster change territory. Fuck if I know what those guys are thinking after this tournament. If this goes as the way we have it going,
Yeah. And then our final round 2 losers matchup, we have London versus FaZe. I mean,
oh, dude, come on, bro. Don't even. There's no point to even talk about it, bro. Get it out the way.
Yeah, honestly, I can't even believe that London's in the losers round 2.
I can't believe FaZe is playing London at a tournament. Like, FaZe, like
Yeah,
you ever have those like
That's
shit
crazy.
talk
Yeah,
moments?
that's crazy. Yeah.
You ever have those shit talk moments where it's like, oh, you gotta make it to me. Like, you can't even make it to my match. It's the same thing. It's like, how?
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of mind blown here.
Yeah, I guess we'll then just bounce back up to now losers round 3, Seattle Surge versus Toronto Ultra. This is where we'll start to get some interesting matchups.
Seattle Surge versus Ultra. I think this the story ends here for Ultra. Yes, I do think that they have been a pretty good. They won the last major, but the complacency is going to end up catching up to them. The land magic can only take them so far, and I think Seattle's gonna continue to make a run. They've actually looked like they made improvements. I can't say the same for Ultra going into this major, so I'm gonna have Surge taking this, in my opinion. But again, depending on the form that Ultra show up in, this could be another fucking coin flip, bro. You're a Seattle hater, Pat, so I'm actually curious what you got to say here.
Not a Seattle hater.
No, Seattle realist. My bad, man.
Thank you for finally saying it. Wait, James, you didn't move FaZe up.
What do you mean? I did.
You gotta move FaZe up to the. No, we said London is getting smoked.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Am I tripping?
No, wait, like it's frozen, bro.
Oh, you guys not seen it on your side?
No, you're good. It's good. It's good. It's good now.
Okay. We were delayed. I was like, I'm sitting here talking about Surge and Ultra, and I'm like, wait, FaZe hasn't even advanced yet.
I was so confused. I was like,
no, it's okay.
No worries. Yeah, look, so I'm a Seattle realist. Look, I think this series is gonna live and die by how Hicksy plays. I think this is kind of like a make it or break it series. Not make it or break it for Hicksy, but like make it or break it for Toronto. Like if Hicksy comes out and plays, up to par with, what we saw at the last major and kind of what we expect for him on this team, I think they have a really good shot here. Look, Scrappy, in my opinion, hasn't dropped a beat from Major 3. Chris, I don't know if you feel any different, but I think he's been playing phenomenal.
But you know who has, bro? Your boy, Kleenex. He has not been playing as good. Granted, Hicksy has not been playing as good either.
Yeah. I think both their subs are struggling, but Hicksy's been like, in my opinion, a lot worse than Kleenex. And I think they're kind of like they're a duo. I mean, I think if Hicksy can play though, it'll definitely help Kleenex out as well. Their kind of SMG pressure has fallen off majorly from Major 3, but I'm honestly really excited. I really do hope there is a Surge Toronto matchup here because I think this would be a great game. I think I could see this one going the distance. For me though, I'm still on the side. I'm on the cautionary side for Seattle because Lamar was like their best player for a majority of their series this major, and I don't know if that's going to happen at Major 4. And I don't think the other players on their team have been playing, that well. Pred has, been doing his thing for the most part. I mean, Pred is Pred. But we haven't seen too much production from them as a whole. And I think, the fact that Lamar's been playing so well, which, I mean, let's be real. It is a little bit of an anomaly to see Lamar be the best player on this team. And so I'm going to say kind of two stipulations. If Hicksy and Kleenex show up to this series, I'm going to take them winning. But again, if Lamar shows up and hits Hicksy and Kleenex don't, I'm going to take Seattle. But I'm going to, like I said, I think Toronto's going to bounce back. So I'm going to go Toronto.
And Chris, you went Surge?
I went Surge.
Okay. I am going to go with Toronto because in my head, I think like if Toronto is going to go out, it'll be the New York series before. If they're going to go out early, I think by then they'll have 2 series under their belt. Seattle maybe just lost 3-1 to LA Thieves. I don't know. I'm going with Toronto on this one.
All right.
A good pick. It's a good pick.
So Seattle. And then we are moving on to Las Vegas Legion versus Atlanta FaZe. This would be the upset of the century.
It would be.
I feel like it's possible, though.
I feel like the way that FaZe have been playing, at least just the way, like the strength of them playing, it's possible. Because we know that Legion has been good at search. They're back up to that form in S&D. And they're guaranteed to get at least one map they're strong in. Like, I feel like FaZe is not afraid to play Mercado. So they're going to get that in there for sure. I think the auto veto for the side of FaZe here is Fortress, which was another map that Vegas used to be really strong in. So I think map set wise, you're going to probably see a Mercado, either hotel or embassy. Not embassy, sorry. Mercado, either hotel or Asilo is probably going to be the map set. And I feel like Legion have a realistic chance at winning those. The story here is going to be, can Vegas upset FaZe in the HP? Because that is what they are weakest in. And I think Vegas have looked a little bit better HP. But their control is just so fucking bad. And I don't think that FaZe is going to make the mistake of playing Expo. So, it's going to be FaZe. But, I mean, it can happen. It can happen.
I don't see Legion upsetting FaZe on LAN. I see them upsetting a lot of teams potentially. I don't see them upsetting FaZe. I think this is just a talent mismatch. And another thing is, like, Legion, in my opinion, would have to rely on, you know, winning some searches, pushing it the distance to get an upset here. And FaZe is just too good in S&D. No sound EQ cheese. I think it's just going to be a.
You got to also think that, like, bro, as much as Vegas made this run in this split with that record, 2 of their wins came from winning Himmelmatt Expo in their matches.
Yeah,
which we've already talked about. Like,
it's never going to happen again. They're never going to play it. They're
never going to play it again unless a team is just abysmal at another game mode. But for some reason, I still think you would square up on it, just because. Because Vegas have struggled so hard, bro.
I actually think that's kind of one point for Vegas. It's going to be rough because, like, yeah, they're horrible at control. And if any team, I don't care who you are, if any team allows Vegas to have that map in a series, they're just trolling. Because
it's absolute troll.
Yeah, we literally know, regardless of what other, whether a team is bad at hotel or a CeeLo, like, these Vegas can't win them either. Like, so it's like, just don't give them that one. What Himalaya?
The thing is, though, some teams
valid.
At least on the top end where Vegas is in these contentions to upset, none of those teams are bad enough at hotel or a CeeLo to veto or to warrant a veto. Like, sure, they might be 3. Let's say they're 3-5 or 2-5. Vegas is like 0 in everything, so you play it anyways. You play it anyways. Do not give them Expo. Do not give them a lifeline and control.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, surprise, surprise. Our top 4 is OpTic, Texas, LA Thieves, Toronto Ultra, and FaZe. And for you video listeners, if you're like, James, yes, we can see that that's the top 4. I call out the matchups for the audio listeners. It's strictly for them. So we'll go straight to the winners final. OpTic versus LAT. Scump versus Nadeshot. Who wins?
A battle for the ages. Every time this matchup happens, it's a great match. But I don't think that OpTic is going to forget to watch the ladder, because there won't be a fucking ladder in this matchup. These are the 2 best respawn teams going up against each other. OpTic being the best hardpoint team, Thieves being one of the better overall teams in all the respawn modes. However, OpTic, I think, takes the edge in the HP. I think I'm going to have OpTic winning it, but this is going to be an absolute grueler. It'll probably go to map 5, or at the very least, we'll have purely entertaining maps.
Sadly, I'm going to have to disagree. I actually
Who would have saw that coming?
No. I actually think this is going to be like a surprise winner bracket final. Like, I do think there's a good chance this will be our winner bracket final. And I think it's going to be a surprise for a lot of people. I think we are going to get a Sam LaRue and Dylan Envoy masterclass. And I see, I'm envisioning it now. Ooh. I see Thieves 3-0ing OpTic here.
All right, Pat. All right, Pat.
Fans are smashing their keyboard in the comment section right now.
Look, we've seen some winter finals like that before. We've seen some winter finals like that before, where it's like, dude, it's like gets hyped up. It's like going to be the best match of the event. It's the best teams for this. And then it's like one team just world stars. All right,
in that case, listen, I have a Dashy and Shotzzy absolute masterclass.
I just summoned a ghost. Listen, James, you're going to have to pick because...
well, he did summon a ghost. I think Ghosty's going to have a massive series. And then OpTic's making it to the grand finals.
Absolute cheese, bro.
That was
the cheese, bro.
And LAT will drop back to the elimination final. And OpTic makes their first grand finals through winners bracket of the year.
Oh, that's a curse though.
Back-to-back tournaments. But
wait, actually, aren't they moving the schedule? Wait, they're moving the schedule? No. I swear this is the first major where they're doing they're moving one of the matches, and it's one of these things to help out this delay, I think. I can't remember. Somebody in chat will probably comment.
Maybe they're doing this match first.
It's something like that. It's
that would
like
kind of make sense.
Match first.
If they did this match first, then this match, then the winners final team would.
I can't see your mouse cursor.
If they did Toronto versus Atlanta FaZe first, then it would be less time that the grand finals team would be sitting there while the elimination final went on.
Something like that. Yeah, they're doing something quicker. I can't remember what it was, but I swear it's happening. Anyways, keep it moving. Let's keep pushing.
Toronto Ultra versus Atlanta FaZe. Another banger matchup.
Listen, FaZe have never got outside the top 3. I can't pick Toronto to win this. FaZe are guaranteed a top 3 in my opinion at every event. They are just that good. They have that much talent. I think with Hicksy and CleanX struggling, barring them just having an absolute insane series, I don't see FaZe losing this.
This is a battle of the Titans, bro. The way we have this bracket, FaZe and Ultra are both starting at losers round 1 and making it all the way to fucking the losers bracket semifinal or losers bracket round 4. So,
but I think with the disparity in the league, I think that's just they're on opposite sides of the bracket. Yeah, they're gonna run through.
There's no way. Yeah, I mean, unless barring absolute collapses, like the people they play. Ultra, I think, have the harder road technically here, but yeah, FaZe is just gonna be. If FaZe play these teams, they're just coasting, bro. Like they're gonna be coasting so hard. They're just gonna go into this matchup versus Ultra, and they're just gonna be like, wow, like we expended 0 energy, like going up all the way up until this part of the tournament, and they're just gonna like crush Ultra here. I still got some faith in FaZe here, at least making that top 3.
Alrighty. So FaZe will move on to the elimination final against LA Thieves. And we will find out who is matching up against OpTic in grand finals of Major IV. So LAT versus Atlanta FaZe.
As much as I have faith in FaZe getting to the top 3, results do not lie, form does not lie. The Thieves are gonna win this. Here. They just look so. Them and OpTic just look so good. FaZe have just been struggling, man. They don't, like I said, they look like they've regressed. They don't look like the same team. I know they have issues. People maybe have been sick. They don't use EQ. But I want FaZe, if they're gonna win this, or they're gonna place higher than top 3, they're gonna have to punch me in the mouth and prove me wrong, because they just have not been looking that good, man. It's kind of sad to see, but Thieves win this.
Yeah, I agree with you here. I think Thieves are going to win the series. I'm really curious though what kind of tournament we're going to get out of Slasher. And I think, when we talk about Slasher, he's always had this kind of, like rivalry with the Thieves ever since, he left or was forced to leave, whatever anyone wants to call it. And so I think there's an opportunity here for him to have like a massive match.
It's gonna be a marquee series for his career if they place this. So like they won a tournament, they went to the next tournament, they got what, top 3? Did they get top 3 at Dallas? Was it top 3 or top 4?
Top 3.
Okay, so they got top 3. They're obviously like disappointed with that. They're gonna come into this match, and this is gonna be a marquee series for Slasher. He needs to play well in this series to kind of like cement himself in a position on this roster, because if he struggles in this series, they bow out top 3. I don't think they'll do it for champs, but a lot of people are questioning his spot on this roster. If he goes out and they lose to this team and he doesn't particularly play well, it's not going to bode well for their future unless they obviously turn it around at the end. He needs to have himself a series if they do beat this team. But that being said, I think these win.
I mean, I think anyone questioning, like realistically, like questioning his spot on the team is kind of crazy. I don't think that is in any kind of jeopardy. But I agree. I think Thieves are going to take the series. And not only, James, do I think Thieves are going to take this series, I think the Los Angeles Thieves are taking this event. I think they are going to be your Major IV CDL Columbus champions, and they're going to take down OpTic Gaming in the grand final. And that will wrap us up. Back-to-back seconds for OpTic, though. Can't hang your hat about it. It's still good for where OpTic was to where they are now. But I think Thieves are going to be our champions.
Winners bracket. I think they get out. If OpTic come in from the winners bracket in this matchup, I think they have a really good chance because they can get out. I think versus Thieves, does OpTic get rid of Hotel, or do they get rid of Expo? Thieves have been looking really good at Expo. I know OpTic says I think they have to get rid of it. Did you hear what Sam was saying on the? Sam was like, "That's my map. It's my favorite map in the game right now." Feel like OpTic has to get rid of Expo, but their control has just been, means they have to play. I still think I got OpTic winning it and just finally breaking that curse. Just because it'd be a pretty cool story for them to do it, Dan, to get that ship under his belt. Maybe shut up all the doubters with the whole OpTic, Ghosty change and all these people calling for Huke and Pred spot. Because as much as, maybe I might not have had the best history with the OpTic organization, I like the people on their team. And I'm going to root for them here. I think I got OpTic winning the grand final. And Pat has the Thieves, replicating their Vanguard run all the way up until winning that Major IV champs. Or Major IV tournament. It is.
Oh. Before I answer this, I have a question for Pat. Pat, do you think if OpTic were to lose that winners final and drop down to the elimination final and beat FaZe, do you think they have a better chance of winning a grand final coming off that game or sitting there in grand finals waiting?
I think it's equal. I think no matter what, if they're playing Thieves in this matchup in the final, I think Thieves is going to take it, regardless of whether it has Thieves from winners or Thieves from losers.
I think Thieves is traditionally a harder match. I think Thieves is traditionally a harder match for OpTic.
I think it would help them a little bit, though, just because beating FaZe is a massive momentum swing for any team. But I think I agree with Chris. I think Thieves are a harder match. I think map pool-wise, Thieves are in a better spot. And I think on LAN especially, I have Thieves at least winning a hard point or two against them.
Dude, I don't know. Oh,
you want what the thing is though about this matchup? Yeah, I think FaZe or OpTic is undefeated on Mercado and Fortress, but Mercado is a map that Thieves is strong in. So you gotta assume that out of the two hard points in the series, they're gonna veto the Fortress, get it out, and then OpTic will obviously pick Mercado, which Thieves is also strong in, so it gives them a chance in the series that they get a map that, they might be undefeated in, but we're also really good at. And then Thieves picks... What's here left over? It's going to have to be Hydro, because Fortress will get out. They're not picking Embassy. Or... Actually, I don't know. That's tough. Never mind.
All right, I think I could
go a lot of different ways. Go ahead. I'm just pondering.
I have a bold prediction to make about the remainder of the season. I think OpTic wins this, and I think they take home Major IV, but I think LA Thieves go back-to-back at champs, and they win champs.
What the fuck?
That's my take.
Well, that just isn't possible because Toronto Ultra are winning champs.
Toronto, listen, you had Toronto Ultra winning champs when you saw Standy on their roster at the beginning of the year.
Dude, I think Standy should still be on their roster.
Now they got Hixie, and that boy been throwing up the...
Dude, you see how Standy's playing? I wish he was on Toronto.
Yeah, apparently that guy was on a leash or something because now he's a dog.
Yeah.
He's out there.
Well, that's our bracket. OpTic wins Major IV. Ghosty gets his first chip, but there's a revenge story that ignites here in this finals, and I think LAT will be the ones that knock out OpTic at champs. I don't know how it plays out, but that's my call. I'm seeing the future. We do have a couple additional segments. So don't click off yet if you're watching live. Obviously, the people who are clicked on the video can see how much time's left. We're just gonna hop through a couple. I guess I'll keep the bracket up for this first. I want to talk about roster changes a little bit. If it were to pan out the way that we have this bracket right now, are there any like direct roster changes that come to mind that you think will or could play out shortly after this major concludes?
ROKKR potentially, going back on their change or maybe trying to reach out externally. If they continue to place like absolute poo. And then I guess the New York one, man, like I said, if they bow out potentially early, if they think that Priesta is not playing up to snuff with the way all three of the other people have been playing lately, their LAN losses are getting inexcusable for the way they play online. They need to make a good tournament run. Otherwise, Priesta, I mean, unless he absolutely fries and they lose, right? I'm in danger. Like, it's just inexcusable at this point, man. How many times are they going to bow out so early on LAN when they're so good online?
Yeah.
Well, any thoughts, Pat, or you kind of agree?
I'm just thinking like about roster changes in general. I'm like going through the teams one by one and like looking at, does any team roster change matter? Like, even if I just gonna like throw this out there, I don't see our classic teams changing, like OpTic, Thieves, Surge, FaZe, Toronto. But like, if Breach make a change, let me ask you guys this: do you think it impacts their chances of winning? My answer is no.
I mean, not in terms of maybe not winning, but like performing well.
Do you think it makes them a contender? Because that's my argument right now. Is like, do I care about any roster change that doesn't make a team a contender? And my answer for Breach is no.
I guess the other question on top of that is like, outside of those top four teams that we have on this bracket, like
top five. Got to Toronto. Okay, still Toronto in like the top five.
I think those guys. No, I'm talking on this bracket. Like we have. I guess we got. We got to throw Surge. So like with Surge included, do you see any other team winning champs or winning this tournament in any scenario? No. So I mean, technically speaking, for the remainder of the season, we're kind of looking at 5 teams and
to have a chance
and what they do, and none of those 5 teams will probably make a change. Do you think there's any chance FaZe makes a change if they lose early, like really early?
No.
Okay.
Because who would they get? Like who? Like we can talk about slashers.
Obviously, I mean, I've seen people meme about Illy. Is Illy even playing the game anymore? Like, I haven't heard anything. Is he done for the season?
Illy is not getting on a team until
next game,
like next year.
Yeah, he's probably done for the year. I don't know what he's doing. I don't think he's playing. He may be, but pubs, I don't know, rank play. But I think he's done, in my opinion, this year. But yes, James, to answer your question, yes, I think those 5 teams are the only teams that are contenders for both Major IV, Major V, and champs. And then back to like the roster change thing, it's like I don't think Breach can improve to be in that top 5 team argument. I don't think I'll skip subliners for now. I don't think Legion can upset, but I don't think Legion can consistently be in that top 5 team argument. I definitely don't think ROKKR can, no matter what they do. ROKKR, in my opinion, is like they're in a rough spot. I'm kind of like out of like a hopeless type of scenario for ROKKR for the remainder of this year. And then our normal LAG, Ravens, Mutineers, in my opinion, those 3 teams are chalked. They're the 10, 11, 12, no matter how you flip it. So New York, I know Chris is making the case for like what change they could make. I think New York has the talent. But for me, it's a big consistency thing. I've never I don't know if I can think that like New York could consistently, like, let's say we ran a tournament 10 times, like how many times could New York outplace those top 5 that we named? Like, I just, I don't have enough faith in New York to be that consistent, like, consistent factor. I think they can definitely make a case for 6th, but I don't right now either. But who can they get that's better than Priesta? Like, I don't think there's a change out there that really bumps them up.
It's not about the skill thing though. It's like
but who can they get that's like a better player, like, or a better teammate,
bro? Like they might feel like they can. They might try to make a move.
I'm okay with them making a move. I'm just saying I don't think no matter who they go for is going to elevate them past the likes of Surge, Toronto, FaZe, Thieves, and OpTic. That's kind of my point here. Is like, I think they could make a change. They can maybe get better. I just don't think they're going to be better on a consistent level to be a contender for an event win, like those top 5 teams that we outlined.
Yeah, I hear you. And then on to the final segment, and it's kind of a fun one. We kind of have an exclusive interview and I guess perspective on this question. But with XDefiant coming out, I think there's been a broad conversation in the community recently just about games and Call of Duty in general right now, and there being a lack of competition in the FPS arcade space. And I think that a lot of, obviously we tip our hat to Pat and the stuff that you guys are doing over there at XDefiant. And I think it's shown that like the FPS arcade community is like lusting for something new that isn't Call of Duty. What would a studio or any franchise, what would it take to beat Call of Duty? Is that possible? Or is it really just providing some sort of competitiveness in the space to maybe give Call of Duty like a little bit of a kick in the ass? Because obviously competition makes your peers better. So like, well, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I don't think so. I'll talk about this outside of a developer's perspective because I'm sure you'll probably have a more nuanced approach. But from just a consumer's standpoint, at least, I don't think there'll be anything that will ever topple Call of Duty just because it's such a household fucking name. I don't think it'll ever die completely unless they stop making games. I think that's, if anything, it might die out in other senses. Like I think the esports community, the hardcore player community, it'll fade in and fade out in terms of what people like enjoy and they go back to it for. But in terms of the casual community, it just won't die. It's just too big of a household name. It captured the console community for so long. It's been like the only console option for a long time. And I think them making games every year keeps them in it because their marketing team is so fucking absurdly good. And it's probably they dump so much money into their marketing that it's always hyped. It's always, you know, it in terms of casuals, like I'm talking about casuals, not like the social media casuals, because that already is a level of entry that a lot of people don't have. I'm talking about the people that literally sit at home on their couch and play video games on the side and see TV ads on NBA games. Like those people will always buy Call of Duty. I think though, from the hardcore community and the competitive perspective, bro, like, shit, I'm in that boat. Like, I want an actual fun game. I want something that actually takes skill. Like, I play Call of Duty. I play ranked. I'm involved in the Call of Duty scene because it's all I've known. But at the end of the day, when I actually want to play, like, I don't have fun playing a no skill gap game. This shit sucks balls. I want to have my skill expression be shown. I've played 15 years of Call of Duty. And yet I will still die in the game to some guy that literally just picked it up for the first time because of how dog shit the skill gap is in the game. I think hardcore gamers and professional gamers are always chasing the feeling of being powerful in the game. Like you want to feel like you are better than this guy and he cannot touch you. And when the game doesn't allow you to do that, it feels terrible. Like it just feels so bad.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Pat.
So I was watching a YouTube video. I forgot which creator I was watching, but they actually put it in a very good way. They basically were answering the question of like, can XDefiant kill Call of Duty? And let's just ignore XDefiant. Let's just say, can another FPS kill Call of Duty? And the answer to that they gave was no. But the reason is because Call of Duty is already dead. And what he meant by that was traditional Call of Duty, the Call of Duty that we grew up with, the Call of Duty that we loved a lot, like the 2006 to 2000 and let's just say 18 Call of Duty, that has died, and that will probably never come back from Call of Duty, right? Call of Duty has moved on to a brand new era, I think, with Warzone and incredibly strong skill-based matchmaking. There's a ton of variables we can list. I mean, I'm sure you guys are aware. Is much different. And so in that sense, traditional Call of Duty has been dead and is dead. And so I don't think the argument is, can XDefiant or another game kill Call of Duty? It's the argument is and should be, can enter any game, in this case XDefiant, revive what Call of Duty was. And I think that's the perspective that people should be looking at, because we can all agree the Call of Duties that we're playing now are not anything like what we were playing back then. They are so far different. They are, bordering the just true mill sim type of experience in multiplayer, with an incredibly different design direction than Call of Duty had back in the day. And so I really liked his take on it, because I think, especially with, obviously I've been a part of XDefiant dev team for the last, 20 months or so. And that's really what it is, right? Just reviving that traditional fun 6v6 multiplayer experience that old Call of Duty provided. And other games as well. But reviving that experience. And I think that's the market that, in my opinion, doesn't really have a game right now. And I think there's a lot of just, first person shooters that want to play a game like that. And so I think, I kind of agree with Chris, like brand wise, Call of Duty is so big. That brand will probably never die. Yeah. But what that brand is nowadays isn't what other games are going for, right? Like, yeah, I think we really need to separate what Call of Duty was and what Call of Duty is now into two different categories, because they're just so vastly different. And I really like that take on it. And I think that's kind of the best way to sum it up, is just reviving the fun traditional multiplayer experience, which I think has gotten lost on a lot of games now.
Yeah. Now, like on the side of Call of Duty, I'm not going to name any names, but I have had certain creator friends have conversations with people on the Call of Duty side of things. And do you think, and I mean, they've publicly shared a lot of this too. Like, do you think the reason that it's gone so far from what it once was, like, do you think that there's a level of, I don't know if too many cooks in the kitchen is the right term for it, but like, they're given so much feedback and have access to so much additional statistics now when it comes to skill-based matchmaking and red dots on the minimap and all these little things that they do. Like, there's reasons why they don't have them anymore, because they see certain percentages of numbers. Like, do you think because they've gotten all this excess information on that kind of stuff, that's why Call of Duty has gone more in the direction that it has? Or do you think it's just because they're trying to innovate and create something new every year?
No, it's innovate. No, they're making video games strictly off stats, bro. They're just seeing like what retains players, what does this, what does that. There's no fucking passion in the game anymore. They're just looking at it from a pure monetary perspective. There's a reason why the store is always working. There's a reason why whenever something like that has issues, it gets fixed. But whenever people can't get on the servers, whenever people can't do this, whenever people can't do that, it takes a while. The fact that whenever the Call of Duty releases and then there's that big Christmas break and nothing gets updated, no new content, no new updates, none of all this shit, just consistent bugs exists, is so fucking sad. And it tells me they don't give a flying fuck about their players and they only care about making money. Yes, I get vacation time is important, but if your game is in an unplayable state where thousands or hundreds of thousands of users can't even play, or there's certain features in the game that literally simply do not work, they need to get fixed, or they need to at least be removed so people don't have access to them and don't just be like endlessly try to play and be like, what the fuck doesn't work?
Yeah.
Like they don't give a fuck about the players.
Yeah.
They just care about making money. But sadly, there's not any direct competitors. So from a passionate gamer perspective that actually cares about what they play, and they don't just get on every day, crack a beer open, and they'll fucking play tic-tac-toe if it looks pretty. There's no market for that actual passionate gamer that understands games and understands the business perspective and kind of just wants to actually play something that is fun, and they want to feel like they actually matter to the developers, that they actually want to be retained. There's no market for that right now in the Call of Duty arcade or the arcade shooter space. So
yeah,
I
think the last thing I'll say on it is, I think as a Call of Duty fan, and anyone watching this, obviously you're a fan of Call of Duty itself. Like, if we should also want games like XDefiant and other games to push the envelope, because the more competitive that space gets, the better it is for everybody. And so it's not necessarily a fact of finding a game to replace Call of Duty or whatever it is, but hopefully just provide a little bit more competitive development in the whole area as a whole. But yeah, I think that's it for today's episode. You guys got anything else?
No, man.
Phenomenal episode.
We'll be back after the major with
Doug
another episode wrapping up the season.
Doug will be here if he doesn't get called up between now and then.
Oh yeah, Doug will be on the Boston Breach.
But hopefully he does get called up.
Yeah, that would be a good problem to have. We can't have Doug on because he's downing champagne after winning Major IV. Would be a movie. Anyways, alrighty. Make sure you guys hit the sub button, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next week after our bracket comes true to perfection. See you guys later.
Peace.